Holiday horror. British travellers are evacuated from Rhodes as wildfires rage. Many families are left stranded as the flames spread.
I could actually see the flames coming over the hill. To me, it's, if you're seeing the flames and the smoke's blowing in your direction, there's only one thing you can do, and that's get out of there.
Tonight, relief for some who finally made it home. But now fires on the island of Corfu are forcing evacuations there. We'll have the latest. Also on the programme. Zelensky brands an attack on a historic Ukrainian cathedral Russian evil, and
it's very, very wet.
A total washout. The rain denies England's chance of winning back the Ashes.
This is ITV News with Kylie Pentelow.
Good evening. Thousands of British tourists in Rhodes rescued from their hotels as wildfires raged are tonight waiting to be brought home. Many were forced to seek salvation on the beach as winds fanned the flames on the Greek island. One family told ITV News of their relief after they fled their resort, but then spoke of their frustration as they wait for a flight home. From Rhodes, our senior international correspondent John Irvine reports.
Replenishment at sea. One of the 10 firefighting aeroplanes battling the blazes here in Rhodes, refilling its water tank. But the charred landscape the aircraft is flying over is proof that the emergency services are yet to win the battle against wildfires that will soon be into their second week. What a tragic 24 hours it's been for residents forced to abandon their homes and belongings, only to watch as fire consumed much of what they hold dear. These pictures were taken from one of the boats that rescued around 3,000 tourists who waited on East Coast beaches for maritime salvation. The O'Donovan family from Leicester were saved by the boats. Today they were among the many Britons who'd had a traumatic night and were waiting at the island's one international airport hoping for a flight home. Tim O'Donovan took this camera phone footage from their hotel room as the wildfires approached. You can make out the flames that made up his mind about staying or leaving.
Like the smoke was outside the hotel. The point at which he phoned reception, I could actually see the flames coming over the hill, and they still hadn't told us to leave. And to me, it's, if you're seeing the flames and the smoke's blowing in your direction, there's only one thing you can do, and that's get out of there. And that's what we did.
I mean, there were still people in the pool when we left because there's no fire alarm. There was no fire alarm at the hotel that we could hear. And then we walked about 2 miles up the road in the heat.
With all your baggage?
With all, yeah. I must admit, the people along the way were really good. You know, if they got hoses, they were coming out at night, soaking us down and stuff.
Giving us fresh water too.
Eventually, the family found themselves on a beach waiting for a rescue boat from which Tim took this picture. Thank goodness for the Coast Guard vessels and the small boats that conducted the Dunkirk-style evacuation. Basically, the fire went as far as it could, and when you see the damage wrought here, you realise just how terrifying it must have been for the people trapped on beaches like this one, their backs to a wall of fire. What did you think it was like?
Scary, terrifying, and probably a bit, I don't know.
You don't know. You're tired though, aren't you? But it was really draining, really tiring, and I just want to go home, have a cup of tea and go to bed.
They faced an 18-hour wait for a flight to East Midlands that might leave in the early hours of tomorrow. John Irvine, ITV News, Rhodes.
Well, airlines are tonight scrambling to bring their customers back from Rhodes. EasyJet has announced they'll lay on extra flights in the next 48 hours to return passengers home, but they say they plan to continue taking people out to the holiday island. Two other operators, though, TUI and Jet2, have suspended taking people out there for now. From Gatwick Airport, Joe Caution reports.
So we've just been in Rhodes for a wedding at the end of our honeymoon. We went from paradise to hell.
We're going to sleep on the beach. Ended up finding a hotel and slept in the reception on the couch. I'm just glad I need some sleep more than anything because it was about 2 hours of sleep.
We have no information from EasyJet at this point. What is happening with your flight? And I do apologise.
Hundreds of passengers crowded the gates waiting for answers this morning, not knowing when they'll make it home. Some have been waiting here for over 20 hours.
It's actually terrible, it's really tough, especially on the kids. They built up the excitement, the holiday was great, and then this last hurdle has been an absolute nightmare. So it's just not the greatest of endings.
The UK's largest tour operators have cancelled dozens of flights to Rhodes, TUI until Wednesday, Jet2 for the whole of next week. Most airlines are operating as usual though, but some of the 12 flights that took off for Rhodes today were empty. And EasyJet has told us it'll send 2 repatriation flights there tomorrow with more than 400 seats. A joint effort from the airlines to bring people back home. Travellers will be entitled to compensation, a full refund or change of destination if their holiday was cut short or cancelled over the next few days. For those who've booked to go to Rhodes over the next few weeks, though, it may not be as simple.
I think we really need to see what happens with the situation and how things go over the next few days. The immediate priority for travel companies right now will be supporting those customers who are still in destination.
Some holidaymakers had to leave their passports behind. Tonight, the Foreign Office has a specialist team at the airport to help those without them to come home. Joe Caution, ITV News.
And tonight there are new concerns over fires on another Greek island. For more on this, Shihab Khan is here. And Shihab, we're talking this time about Corfu.
Yeah, absolutely. The Greek authorities have called for evacuations on a second Greek island, Corfu. 5 settlements in particular where people have been told to leave because of wildfires. It will mean that thousands will need to flee and evacuate almost immediately. Corfu is, of course, a hugely popular tourist destination, particularly for Brits. 500,000 Brits go there every single year, so this will be a huge cause for concern. The weather, which we've heard so much about in those reports, is likely to make things a lot more difficult in Corfu in particular. Greece is going through one of its worst prolonged heat waves. It is expected to be 38 degrees in Corfu tomorrow. That is not going to help the situation. It means the fire risk will remain incredibly high. The Foreign Office is pointing people towards their travel advice. When I last looked at it a few minutes ago, Corfu wasn't on there. I suspect that is going to change very soon.
OK, we'll have to leave it there, Shihab. Thank you very much. Well, if you're planning to travel to those areas affected and want advice or to know your rights, then you can head to our website. It's itv.com/news. On to other news tonight, and Ukrainian officials say at least 1 person has been killed and 22 injured in a Russian missile strike on the southern city of Odessa. A World Heritage-listed cathedral and a residential block were damaged in the attack. Martha Fairley reports.
The historic city of Odessa has been the target of Russian bombardments for the past week. But last night, missiles struck at the cultural heart of the city, designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site earlier this year. One rocket ripped apart the ornate Ukrainian Orthodox Transfiguration Cathedral, destroying much of its domed roof and uniting local residents as they work to clear the rubble and salvage any artefacts.
It hurts because I used to go to this temple when I came to Odessa, but now it is destroyed. This is our Ukrainian heritage, and now it's been taken away from us. I have tears in my eyes. I cry all day. It's not fair. I don't understand why the Russians are like this with us.
This evening, in his video address to the nation, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the attack that hit the altar of the cathedral. And he said that Russia's missiles target not just cities, but the foundations of European culture. Undeterred, worshippers returned to the cathedral where prayers were said outside this evening. UNESCO has condemned the attacks here and at other heritage sites, but Russia denies it was behind the destruction, which it blames on a Ukrainian air defence missile. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Results are still coming in a tight snap general election in Spain. Most of the ballots have now been counted and the Conservative Popular Party looks set to come out on top, but it's likely they'll need support from the far-right Vox party to form a government. British band The 1975 has cancelled 2 tour dates in Asia after their set at a Malaysian music festival was halted by authorities after frontman Matt Healy made a pro-LGBT demonstration on stage. Performances in Jakarta and Taiwan will no longer go ahead this week. And it could be the end of the iconic Twitter blue bird, according to a tweet from the social media network's billionaire owner Elon Musk. It said that he'll be replacing the logo that's known as Larry the Bird with an X. And finally for this evening, in the end, England could only sit and watch as the rain fell, washing away any hope of winning back the Ashes from Australia. After barely any play yesterday, today was a total washout at Old Trafford. And that meant the match ended in a draw, putting victory in the 5-match series out of reach for England, much to their frustration, as Mark McQuillan now reports.
After a pulsating series, a damp squib of an ending to the crucial 4th test. England's Ashes hopes washed away by the Manchester weather.
It's very, very wet.
No play possible on the final day, meaning England's hopes of beating Australia and regaining the urn were over.
Look, I'm incredibly proud of what everyone did when we had the opportunity to go out there and play cricket, and it's just unfortunate that we've only managed to get 3 hours in over the last 2 days.
Ultimately, this was the only action we saw today. England's skills with the ball, not the type they were hoping to utilise at Old Trafford. The plans they'd made to take the remaining 5 Australian wickets they needed rendered irrelevant by the rain. A draw means Australia retain the Ashes, albeit not in the manner they wanted to.
It's a bit of a strange one. I think, as a group, proud that we've retained the Ashes, but it's, off the back of not our greatest week. So, yeah, it feels like, good that we've won the Ashes, retained the Ashes, but we know we've got a fair bit of work to do for next week.
It's been a frustrating day for cricket fans, but Australia's will be soaking up their success tonight, and they will have the chance to win the series outright at the Oval next week. Mark McQuillan, ITV News.
Maybe next time, hey? Well, that's it from the weekend team. The national weather forecast is coming up next. But from all of us here, whatever you're doing, enjoy what's left of the evening. Good night.
Not everywhere will be cold today. Some places will be warm and toasty. Heinz no added sugar beans sponsors ITV National Weather.
A very good evening to you. Well, today's rain sinking south in the next few hours. As for the new week, it's looking better and brighter. Sunny skies return, but we keep blustery winds for a time in places. Today's rain making slow progress southwards as we head through the next few hours. Some locations have collected a month's worth of rain this weekend. No surprises there. Behind this rain across Scotland, Northern England and Northern Ireland, clearer and much cooler into the new day. Here, brighter, if quite blustery around the coast, and temperatures on the low side into the morning, given this point in the summer. Elsewhere, mild and muggy and a bit of a soaking wet start to Monday. The overnight rain could well turn out to be heavy before it pulls away into the near continent, and then cheering up quite nicely. The cloud giving way to brighter skies, blustery showers across the north and the east. Otherwise a quieter scene, highs of 20 or 21 degrees through the afternoon.
Heinz no added sugar beans sponsors ITV National Weather.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV London Weekend Weather.
Hello there, good evening. After the wet weather of yesterday, we have to say hello and hopefully goodbye to the tail end of that system. That's giving us a second visit. That'll push through tomorrow morning. Then some reasonable weather Tuesday into Wednesday before we've got another Atlantic system that's going to give us another soaking through Wednesday night into Thursday. But as far as tonight goes, then yes, 1 or 2 sneaky showers drifting through, but really the focus is on what's happening to the north of us. That will hold there for rush hour tomorrow morning. Ahead of it, well, it's going to be a mild and fairly muggy night, lows of around 14 to 16 Celsius. And it means that tomorrow the rush hour is set to be a bit of a messy affair. Some bright spells, some showers as this front starts to push its way further south, but it could be the case of seeing that some of these showers turn out to be rather heavy. Potential for risk of localised flooding, so we've got to watch out for that. Into the afternoon, things settle down a little bit. Mixture of cloud and bright and sunny spells, couple of showers, but distinctly cooler and fresher air too. Our highs of just 17 to 20 Celsius. As far as Tuesday goes, a few showers in the breeze, sunny spells at times, and then a decent start to Wednesday before that rain pushing towards us later.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV London Weekend Weather.